yoga nusasana. Oh look, the camera's still off. I don't have time to go back and repeat things, but I did learn inside that abrupt interlude, as we may call it, that I have 2.5 hours worth of memory on my phone that I can access for recording. And like I said, I like to know my limitations. You don't want to get too close to death where you die, but you do want to see death. You want to figure out the way to get on that path. You have to die to the world. How do you die to the world? Questions I had as a kid. Just saying. No one tells you this. Kind of be useful. You gotta turn your eye to the sin. But I can't. So, what am I supposed to do? Death. Back to what we were talking about before my phone so rudely interrupted me. I wasn't going to. That was the IHOP thing where I left all that. So, I wasn't going to cook. No. I was tired. I worked a lot. So food in my refrigerator would start to go bad. And before it went bad, you smell this particular sweet smell to it. I started to notice this because it kept on happening. Because y'all, I used to make money for like a single dude, paid off my car, and after that, I was like making money, go out and go drinking. And then it got to the point where drinking was just a nightly occurrence. And I got lost inside the spirit of the alcohol vice being present in myself. You see, yes, I too traveled roads. And I liked the way things felt in various roads. But still, at the end of the road, I had a hollow, sinking feeling of this isn't enough. And while listening to a song from the video game Devil May Cry, which was my favorite series as a kid, Make Me by Christine Adji in Onoyo Popo or something like that. Something weird. Not weird, sorry, but I don't know how to pronounce that. Well, the way that song touched me, like it had me crying. I was like, I need to make a change. Because it's sitting inside traffic at 7:30 in the morning in the sea of red lights and the back and the forth and trying to get to work, but you have to wait. It was just like the Marine Corps. Hurry up and wait again. Military suicides are pretty high. Concerned about my veteran brothers. So, I hope they watch this too. I guess that's the way that this is going to go for this one. We were children. When I was a child, anyway. My nation was attacked. I brought this up in the last one, I believe. How the warrior inside of me was stoked. I needed to go and kill something. Whoa, we were attacked. It was so bad. I joined. It was in 03. This is one of those stories. I didn't see combat, y'all. Calm down. It's one of those other stories, not like the crazy story. Calm down. My dad did, though. I hadn't seen him for a long time when I saw him again when I was like 14. And I made it up my mind I wanted to kill that man. I don't know why. It was just my anger towards him. I'm better than you. How dare you leave me? Boys go through that, especially when they go through things, life. And then I met this curly-haired little girl that walked up to me speaking Spanish, and she said, "Mano." I have a sister. I don't know her now. But at that time, I was like, because I wanted a kid by then. So I was like, I have a sister. I have a sister. It's like, I have a sister. I have nothing but brothers. I have brothers. And, life happens. But a sister, I have a sister. And I have a sister. Daddy was a Rolling Stone. I took that to my father. I might have a lot of family out there I don't know about. I don't know. That's supposed to be tea. I used to see 9/11 on the clocks. Wonder he was overseas at the time. And my feelings towards him were sometimes I'd hope he was okay. Other times I'm like, if the dude died and I got a letter, I wouldn't be mad. Which is wrong. I decided if I had a son, I wouldn't want him to feel like that about me. The life and the messy world. Now that I'm older, I understand. He did what he had to do to make sure that he took care of his children. Because he had 2 boys, very close. Like I said, my dad liked women. I like women too. It's kind of, I guess, it's, passed down from father to son. I conquered my thing too, though. But I'm good now. But he conquered his thing too. He's good now. Makes me proud. Progress, right? War. We've been at war for a long time. I remember people talking about the enemies. Me being in high school, being like, I'm gonna go over there. Fuck them up. That's what I'm gonna do. My mom threatened to kick me out of the house, and I was like, I don't want to live on the streets to go to the Marine Corps. It's not that serious. I'll change my MOS. So I was trying to be the supply dude that's in the warehouse, that stocks out. I'm like, here goes your loadout. And just like, constantly pushing people, just that dude. I was trying to be that dude. Well, at the bottom of the contract, you see, there's this financial option. So I ended up going in because I was too smart. I had the ASVAB that was really high. They could use me for financial purposes. And I ended up inside of an office. That is the last thing I wanted to go into the Marine Corps for. But of all the disappointments, it's the first one of the things of I thought I wouldn't do something and I did that thing. Life. You say you're not going to do something and then you do something. Just don't say you're not going to do something and just don't do it. It's that simple. You're not going to do it. Don't even bring it up. And kill the thought within you. Remember I was talking about that prey, hunt, thought thingy? Yeah. It's important. It layers into a lot of stuff. We call other people on the planet derogatory names that involve towels and rags. on a person's head. Why? Because they were our enemy. But we didn't even understand them. We know nothing about their culture. They came against us. And now we have to go against them. That is a nation. Now within the nation, you have the black people. You have the white people. You have the Asians. You have the Middle Eastern. The Africans, because black and African is not the same thing. Native Americans. You have all these tribes, and they're at war within themselves. But see, whenever the rich person's money is threatened, all of a sudden, the media comes out with the commercials of, we're all one nation, we're all one people, we can stand together. And they drive us together, being like, yeah, my fellow man. And those moments of war, you look out and you can see your fellow man. But in the moments of peace, you forget your fellow man. So we started war. Misguided. It took me a long time to get to the point where I wanted to understand Islam. It was a thing. I've seen stories about people that used to be Christian, they converted to Islam. And I was like, well, how did that happen? And then people that used to be Islam converted to Christian. How did that happen? What the chain of thoughts these people went through? I have an uncle that was Christian, and then he changed his name, and he was Abraham. I didn't understand at the time. Nah, he ain't that. He was this. For a long time, I rejected that inside of my ignorance. For the Christians, when you go down into the watery grave and you come back up, you're reborn. Yes. For the Muslims, when you change your name, that person that you used to be has died. You've been reborn by the grace of Allah. It's the same thing, a different ritual, because names have power. And if you want to escape that name of who you used to be, you change your name, become someone else, until you realize the whole point is to become nameless. Because death is a nameless thing that comes for all. And we've killed each other. Instead of seeing that a smile is the same in every language, and tears of pain are the same in every language, instead of understanding the things. Now you see, we know that the majority of our communication is nonverbal. Yet, we go and do things by verbalisms, what's said to us. We let it stoke our inner fire and anger to action, from thought to action. And we, inside of that, from going with something from inside of yourself, the selfish self, to something outside of yourself, to the action you put out, you incur karma for it. It is law. No man is above law. No corporation is above law. No nation is above universal law. That's just how it works. Principles, cycles, same way that the nebula forms inside the cosmos, our eyes look like nebulas. As is above, so is below. This is what it means to be an adult soul and to understand things. But you have to study death. You see, all this life I speak comes from understanding death. Death and life are intertwined deeply. The warrior fights, The king rules and seizes people. In my other videos, I talk about that. But death comes for all of them. You can't escape death. No one can. I finally, a few years ago, got interested. And as you can see, I drink fire water, which that is forbidden to a Muslim. So, I did not adhere to his precepts, but I will learn of his language, of his knowledge. It's back in those days when I started getting curious about Islam. It was hard for me to understand. I didn't want to read. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I read the Upanishads. I read various things, not fully. And I wanted to really get immersed and understand the culture that for years I thought was an enemy. What was that religious built behind? So I waited. Because if you wait, waiting will be filled. And the answer would be revealed. The universe goes on constantly. Like everything's happened, it's already done. All your questions are answered. You just gotta wait for the answer to come to you. It'll reveal itself. Waiting is filled. Then I seen a thing on Facebook about Ertugrul Duralis. And shout out to the actors in that show. From watching it, I've watched like Game of Thrones, It was in the hiatus, the long hiatus. And those of us who watched Game of Thrones know it took a year or two to come out with the next season. No, I mean. And then they wrecked it. I don't know, but you don't need to watch it. I mean, you can watch it if you want to. It's a good artistic piece. It really does bring things full circle, but you don't need to watch it. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But in the meantime, I needed something to watch that was, kind of Game of Thronesy. And it was on Netflix. And it had hundreds of episodes. And it was about Islam. So, okay. Well, we learn what we're supposed to be through our legends and our lore. Superman and flying around, G.I. Joe, the heroes. Our perceptions are built upon the lore that we give ourselves as children, and that is what we put inside our shows. I've never watched a show from that area. I really don't know what their stuff's about. I have played Assassin's Creed though. People say I look like an assassin. No, this style is something much older than that. From within me, my meditations when I was a kid. But I find that it does suit me well. And you will compare it to that. So, whatever. It's cool. I like the game. Devil May Cry is my top one. So Assassin's Creed. Nothing is true. Everything's forbidden. If you haven't played the game or learned the lore, go watch it on YouTube. It's a pretty good read. Nice philosophy inside the game. I loved messing up the Templars though. Really did. The Knights of Malta, that whole Star thing. They had symbology in there. It's like the game was trying to tell you something, but it wasn't trying to tell you something, but it was. Really, really interesting. You have an underground war that's been raging for centuries between freedom and liberty and enslavement. That comes back from these ancient times with these beings that we would consider to be gods. Truth is stranger than fiction on that one, y'all. So I decided I would watch Ertugrul, because one woman there talked about Ibn al-Arabi. He's a Sufi mystic. And I was like, oh man, mystics. I'm on the mystical path. I can learn about the Islamic mystical path and watch a show that people are watching, be a part of the world for a second. I can do research and have enjoyment. And then I got caught up inside of it. Like, yo, you're in the tent. There's, we used to go around in herds inside tribes and stuff. So like this applies to like a lot of people's background and history. And like we had our leaders in the tent. They would meet together. They would decide what the tribe is going to do next. Like, really crucial decisions. And in Airticle, they make sure they show you like everyone like if you watch it, you understand. Everyone shows everyone's perspectives, so you have a complete emotional readout of how these people are feeling. But inside the story, in order for you to understand it, Ertugrul is a sheep herder, essentially. The bay of a sheep herder. They're trying to make their tribe grow and be successful. And inside real history, his son is Ottoman, which Ottoman founded the Ottoman Empire. So it's a legend of his father and what he believed in and how he has. Ertugrul Ghazi. He married Halime Sultan. And that name Halime, I love it. Halime. And the actress, love her too. Halime. If you watch the show, you'll understand. It sounds weird, but I got immersed inside of it because I wanted to know Islam. And they were showing this like mystical scenes where Ertugrul is having dreams and he's meeting with Ibn al-Arabi. He's like, son, the Lord gives us tests and we just have to pass it. Now, when they met, someone was about to kill Ibn al-Arabi and Ertugrul. I'm pretty sure this is one of it. Somehow Ibn al-Arabi is about to get murked, and then people show up and save him all the time because the Lord's working with him. So he has no worry. He's just peaceful. Person comes there and he's like, I could have killed you. And so like, my son, the Lord does things. Today, you accepted your submission to Islam. You submitted to the Lord. You will have a new name. And I was like, oh man, it's like baptism. Like I started to get the culture. I started to see the comparisons between how the people are supposed to act. And I realized we aren't different at all. They have warriors that are protecting their interests. And then we have people over here blew up some stuff. It's because of the Dark Covenant. We're all angry. Control us. Money disappears. Like trillions of dollars disappear. And then this happens. And all this stuff is going on. And then it's like, we're attacked. We're hurt. They push we're one people. We need to fight them back. Brainwashing through the airwaves. And we go over here and attack these people. They had nothing to do with nothing. All things have karma. Now, how you correct the karma is up to you, but you have to get the other person's forgiveness. So, there's going to be a lot of talks that need to happen amongst all the people. Death. Much death. From possibly my father being dead, though I didn't exactly get along with them, My little sister having to ring keys by his ears to wake him up so that he didn't go into a PTSD type thing, maybe, before. I don't know, I remember, but I feel like I heard a story about that. War wears down on a man, and only in time does a man find peace with the war. And he told me that he had to do something. It was a fight. And he was doing as warriors do. Because everyone's fighting for the ideology. We forget our brother men. We get caught up inside nations. And he joined before wars happened. He was trying to do the whole college thing, support his kids, to have a career, no more war. And there he was in the battlefield. He made a shot, and then you have to go and confirm. When you turn the person over, it was no person, it was a boy. to him. It reminded him of his sons, and that made him really think about stuff. I'm pretty sure that's why he got out. Because inside of his soul, it didn't sit right with him. I had learned about my father, and I lived inside of his shoes to try to understand him so I can understand myself a little bit better. Because apparently, what my mom says, even though I didn't grow up around him, the blood is strong, and I have his actions within me, his mannerisms. It's just a natural thing. My grandmother, his mother, died. And people came out from all around, and she used to make cakes. She was a good pastry chef. She cooked good too, don't get me wrong, but her pastries were known. Everyone came out and saw her. They saw her off, said her goodbyes. I hadn't seen my dad in a few years by then. And I was sitting there talking to my cousin, and my dad was to my back, and me and him were both doing this whole thing where we rocked back and forth. Talking, hand movements. I am his spitting image. And that's also when I realized how important our seed is and how we keep ourselves for the next generation, because we're passing on a mentality. When my dad had me, he had a playful mentality. My dad. I knew myself, so I know him. I learned that over time. I see now into the veteran community that the death that they have brought, the deaths and losses they've experienced, weigh heavily on them. And it needs to be understood. You don't know if you're going to walk out the door tomorrow and get hit by a car. You don't know if a stray bullet's going to hit you in your sleep. You don't know if you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. Men go when it's their time to go. You were doing what you thought you needed to do as a man back then. Be proud of who you were, but still offer it to the fire, that you may purify your inner self to where you know that if it's time to act, you will act. Yet still, the world needs peace. It does not need war. And the strongest actions we can make are the ones that we make of ourselves and how we build our community. We're community leaders. That's what veterans are. So they need to get out there. No matter the pain, you lost your purpose. They didn't tell you the purpose was to get inside the community with other veterans across different communities and to build networks and to make things function amongst people. We are the ones that are able to do it because we're the ones that encountered so many people. We left our villages. We traveled the world as warriors, male and female. And to my female vets, I've seen many horrible stories and people dying. Someone got splayed with acid melted away on her private parts in her face, trying to hide what they did. You know, back when I started, I told women, be careful. There's a beast that lies inside men, and you never know when it's going to be released. Men can be rapists. You got to be careful. Especially so these days, because people aren't built right. And they're like, whatever. If you go back, you're a veteran, you're just seeing this. If you watch other videos, you'll know I was a pretty deep thinker. And I was foreseeing things that happen within other people. Seeing little flashes and instincts, not acting on it, just observing the things that go on within the mind, within the desires of myself. I understood the primitive and primal nature of myself, so I was able to avoid it. I did things a little bit more sophisticated, you know. Knew what I want, did what I needed to do. I tried to warn them. These things happen, and they happen a lot. I've been told many stories about not wanting something. And ultimately, it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do about it. It's happened. It's over. It's done. But you don't need to let it claim you. Fight back. I know I'm a dude, and saying that probably doesn't sound good because the body, but I'm really a being. You have to fight back against those thoughts, questions of value. You are worth something. You are someone important and special. Well, not special, but unique. None of us are special. We're all unique. So we can't be special. We all have our own paths to walk and things to heal from. And the things that are hard then need to be discussed without having our emotions attached to it. The thing has happened to you. There's nothing you can do about the thing. You can accept the thing, or you can be tormented over the thing. But the thing still happened either way. I've heard so many stories in that nature from all walks of life, not just military. People that were close to other people, and that person betrayed themselves because they got caught up inside of their body desires. Instead of wanting the fruit at the end of the tree, they decided that they would want the root chakra. Basic survival nature. But the fruit comes from up here, the higher self, the true treasure that you are. Never is about a body. Many people can take a body. Many wars have been fought and bodies have been taken. You see it in all the movies. But it's about you, yourself. Death. You want to know about death? Because sometimes, even while you're living, things within you have to die. My name is, when I was in Wicca, and I combined the 5 elements, because gotta tie it into the whole dissertation, right? My friend told me not to, and I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. Doing this whole inner ritual thing, I'm making the 5 elements one, because that's the next level it has to be. And I did. And I became slain. For every time I die, gray, I attain new knowledge. And I realized inside one life, you can die many times. And you can meet many different people within one life. And if you're old enough now, I'm sure that you've acquired different people that you've been, and you've changed, you've grown. That's what growth is. So to me, everyone's slain gray. Gray is the wisdom you obtain from going through those harrowing times. Because even inside there, when you're being yourself, sometimes you can be selfish. And you may say things you don't mean. You may give out hurt because you feel hurt. Yeah. So I died many times. Many different people that I've been. And other people that I've met. Many different faces. And realizing that the person inside them is the same as me in their story. And letting it, being the empath thingy. And feeling it. Understanding them, sympathizing with them, but not letting them fully overtake me to where it was overbearing. That is death. It's going to come. It's going to happen. But it doesn't need to be overbearing. You want to know about death? When I let the meat go bad in the refrigerator, you had the sweet smell that would come off of it before it went completely bad and started going. I noticed that. I was like, the smell of death, what is it? Was that the smell of death that I picked up on beforehand? Because I was saying I needed to cook the chicken or the beef. Not really big on pork. I'll eat it, but I wasn't really big on it back then. Didn't buy it. And I started noticing that, yeah, when the proteins start breaking down, they release a sweet smell. So I went to go look up online the sweet smell of death. Part of my sadhana, spiritual practice. You know, people do weird things for spiritual practice. And I saw stories about nurses knowing how a person would die before they would die, because a day or two before they would die, they would smell a sweet smell. And they start noticing this, just living so close to people who were dying all the time. They are like death priests, essentially. And it affects them when they lose someone that's close to them. I have a friend, she got out of hospice because of that. She lost too many people. It takes a toll on you. Friends that you lose to suicide takes a toll on you. Death is a heavy thing to the living, but to those who are gone, they're on to other things. But they'll have to come back again, here to this hell, because they tried to think it was up or down and not within that they needed to fix. And since they're without, outside was messed up, they couldn't make sense of it. They got scrambled. They disappear. No need to do that. It's a game. Learn the rules. Expand yourself. You feel like dying, the person must shed, the phoenix must rise. They must be turned to ashes, become the ember to light a new fire. Become a new self. Keep on growing. Change. You can always make a choice. Everything is a choice. The world would change if we all made a choice to come together and build something amazing. Or we can keep playing by the rules of the money and figure out a way to do within that. Or we can keep playing by the rules and be enslaved. It's all choice. Everything's choice. And seek the now. If you live inside of the now, you get caught in the flow. Things will start to make sense. It's hard. So yes, when I speak of death, I speak of life. Because life and death are intimately intertwined. Sometimes people lose children before it happens. And they ask, why does it happen? Well, you ever thought that maybe your beliefs behind things beforehand could have made the thing disappear to try to put you on a path to learn about stuff? Usually when you go through great pain, that's when people seek out the inner world to make sense of it all. When you're in great pain, the pain caused by death, even before we grieve things that weren't born fully, they were growing, and they may have opted out. Death is everywhere. Always there, always lurking, ever present. I had to make sure that within the dissertation, I let you all understand that as my adult self, I can see death in many ways. It's one of my ways of unity, pondering it, knowing that it's the road all must go. Apparently, I'm supposed to be reincarnated. I'm an old soul. That's what they told me in meditations. And, yeah. The only thing that sucks about dying is the transfer, or if you labor through death because you don't know the way to get out of your body, because you think that's not real, and your mind is so shut and closed to the infinite potential of the infinite creator of what actually is going on, that tradition makes you blind to the law of God. Jesus said that. And things aren't what people think they are. Death. That's about all for this video. My fire water is done. But sometimes to know a person, you have to get personal. Well, that's the only way you know a person. Just get personal. Yet, I've been aware the whole time. Perfect in my perspective. Not letting anything rule me. Moderation is key, y'all. Remember that and set all the things you do. No matter where you are inside your path or journey, moderation. Be kind to yourself. Remember to drink water before you go to sleep. Maybe add some baking soda in there. Get some basic going on. Stop that acid forming in that blood, you know. Whatever you're doing. Oh yeah. Well, inside the song, you'll understand what this is about later. I promise you. But yeah. Make sure you get some water. Okay? Hope this finds you in good spirits. Or bad spirits. Hope it puts you in good spirits. The Priest of Ashes means a lot to me. That name. I aspire to inspire you to be your highest ideal. That's all that I require from anyone. Be reasonable, but be your highest self. Do no harm to others. And guess what? No one can say anything bad about you. That means anything. Because you're okay inside of here. Later.